What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what's coming out associated to Lucid itself, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 1.13%, 222 the low, 226 the high. So the market's rebounding from yesterday's pullback. A couple different attributing factors, one of which is just Amazon, a lot of other companies unveiling pretty good earnings. And then unemployment came in lower than the forecast of 4.1 versus the forecast of 4.2. Absolutely amazing stuff. So the market really liked that. Non-farm payroll, I think it gets a pass this time and came in at 12,000. Forecast was 180,000, and the hurricane obviously affected that quite significantly. So all in all, market is in rebound mode. Looking at Lucid though, no official news, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So right now people are just sitting back and waiting for Lucid's upcoming earnings, which is kind of like a week away. There was one thing that did change though. I'll quickly pop over here. So looking here at the ratings, so no new analyst ratings or anything like that. But as I've explained in the past, analysts can change the estimates without changing their official ratings. And that's actually what happened, because even leading up to today, the current estimate was 205.8 or something like that million. Didn't logically make sense, right? Because Lucid came out with an 8K saying that on the high end, it'll be roughly around 200. So to estimate 205 is setting Lucid up to fail. Analysts obviously adjusted it, and so right now the estimate going into their upcoming earnings is 198.17 million. So like I said, analysts can change the estimates behind the scenes without changing the ratings, and that's exactly what did happen. Unfortunately, we can't really see who did it though, but aside from that, looking on the actual chart itself, one point to really watch for in the short term is that ALMA, so the 228, so that's going to be a strong pivot for Lucid. But in the short term, or I guess aside from that, everything else is pretty bearish still. The only positive is it's very oversold, and you can tell that based on the stochastic RSI. So if there's a good piece of news or something along that kind of aspect, then you could see a rush of value investors possibly. But I think as of right now, the next big thing for Lucid is just going to be their upcoming earnings. Aside from that though, there was this that did come out. So it looks like Lucid did host the Monroe team, talked on technology, and I think if you are investing in Lucid, it's probably better to consider that you are investing in its technology rather than ramping up on production. That might be a better suited way to kind of think about it, especially the foreseeable future and the next generation of Atlas drive unit. Peter has stated that alongside the mid-size is going to get Lucid to profitability. And I know a lot of people hate that. I bring up profitability, but honestly, that's going to be the next big thing. That's going to be the next thing that as well that gets shorts off of Lucid's back. And right now, shorts are still increasing 1.13 million shares despite Lucid being green. So they clearly see more downside coming with Lucid, but 19.73% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 235.08 million shares. You see some signs of manipulation once again. So the cost to borrow minimum is negative, not crazy. It's only negative 0.1, but it does show that there is a broker out there physically paying people to short Lucid. So it's, I don't know, the manipulation is getting a little bit more bold and obvious. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see whether shorts are right or whether this is going to be their biggest mistake. So let me know your thoughts on that. It's been a while since I've kind of gone over this. So unfortunately though, there hasn't been any change. So the same questions since I last covered it. And this is why I've said that you really need to put the best questions forward day one. Whatever is basically top 5 on day one is what does eventually get asked. And it just, I don't know, not to be like all conspiracy theorist on this, but this Paul individual, I don't know if just a lot of his questions are too obvious, and especially Q2 as well. He also had 2 of his questions asked. So it just seems very odd, and for you to be like clearly this amount of shares that you do have and you want lowball questions, it just doesn't make sense. So that's just my 2 cents of the day. But so number 1 is about the stock performance, number 2 affordable vehicle, and number 3 is the company's future. So all of which are pretty dumb questions. So Yeah, it is what it is. But right now, 62,000 in calls, 42,000 in puts, 50% of all the options being done so far today are optimistic bullish, but rather low volume in Lucid right now. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $3 range, possibly for the next couple of weeks, and that's also encumbering their earnings. And looking at the puts, though, people are anticipating for it to be sub $2. So kind of on a pretty big pivot right now. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. Regrettably, only one so far, first thing, and it was for $652,000 and was a sell. So big money is not really buying into Lucid as much as a lot of the other growth stocks. And even the dark pool is relatively quiet today, only 2 transactions. And dark pool is very popular for Lucid because it's often enough linked to shorting and other large entities. But right now with it at $2.23, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So $2.14 is going to be a strong support, and then $2.64 is going to be the next strong resistance / target. And so, yeah, I think right now it's just a waiting game. A lot of people are just waiting for Lucid's upcoming earnings just to hear those sweet whispers from Peter on technology, and hopefully for him to give some Easter eggs on what is truly coming, and whether it be partnerships, because I think in the short term partnerships need to be front and foremost, but they have to be credible ones. They can't just be what's been floating around saying, oh, this is a new partnership for leasing. Lucid and leasing has sucked very much, especially when it was announced initially, even in the States with Bank of America. The rates that they were charging and just the actual value that they kind of put on it, like it didn't hold any value whatsoever. So I think just Lucid, it obviously is a startup, didn't really know exactly what they were doing. A lot of big banks were kind of taking advantage of them in that regard. So I think they've learned their mistakes, at least in the States, not in Canada, and clearly based on the recent partnership, not in Europe. So it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Hopefully everyone had an amazing weekend, and we'll be having a amazing upcoming weekend. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then take advantage of this promo because it gives you 8 free shares. Each share is valued up to $2,000. So that's a kick-ass deal. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.